This budget resolution marks the next step in the reconciliation process to advance President Trump's America First agenda and deliver upon the American people's mandate from November. We have certainly heard our fair share of fear-mongering and flat-out falsehoods from Democrats and their bedfellows in the mainstream media about what our budget resolution entails. Let me be clear. This resolution unlocks the path forward to deliver upon our commitments to the American people. Over the next hour, I'll bet you dollars to donuts, Mr. Speaker, that you'll hear all manner of identity groups that Democrats will claim the budget resolution will hurt. You'll hear them say that Republicans are abandoning the middle class and cutting benefits. None of that is even remotely true. We heard some wild conjecture in the Rules Committee this morning that Republicans would, quote, cut off your limbs and let you bleed to death if you had a cold. Notch that as another textbook example of Democrat fear-mongering that we've heard over the past few months.
Mr. Speaker, this is a lousy budget. It is a budget that will hurt working families. It is a budget that will especially hurt families who are struggling in poverty. Republicans have succeeded in putting together a Marie Antoinette budget, helping the richest of the rich while hurting the poorest of the poor. Let them eat cake. That is the Republican motto. And I've never seen such cruelty contained in a budget in all my years here. This budget would force the biggest cut to Medicaid in American history. And the idea and the audacity of somehow pretending like it isn't going to hurt people is just insane. It is simply not possible mathematically to cut Medicaid by almost $1 trillion and not hurt people. And by the way, for the record, that's not fear-mongering. It's what's in the text of this bill. You know, I just want to say that this budget directs the Committee on Energy and Commerce to come up with at least $880 billion in cuts within their jurisdiction. Now, Republicans want to be able to claim that there's no way to know at this point in the process where those cuts will come from. And they're saying that they're not going to cut any benefits in Medicaid or Medicare. But guess what, Mr. Speaker? If you don't cut Medicaid, if you don't cut Medicare or CHIP, there is only $381 billion left to cut in ENC's jurisdiction. So even if you cut literally every single other dollar, you're still at least $500 billion short, $500 billion short. You know, I guess I understand why President Trump suggests that you all close your eyes before voting on this steaming pile of Medicaid cuts. You know, and I would also say it's not mathematically possible to tell the Agriculture Committee to cut $230 billion without cutting SNAP benefits. You just can't do it. You have to kick people off of food assistance if this budget passes. That means children, seniors, and Americans with disabilities cut off. That, in my opinion, you know, that is the reality. That is the reality that Republicans are trying to hide from the American people. We had a hearing in the Agriculture Committee yesterday where Republicans were bragging about, you know, how they wanted to make SNAP, put more hurdles in place for people to be eligible for SNAP. The majority of people on SNAP are children, are senior citizens, are people who are disabled. We don't expect them to work unless you want to repeal the child labor laws, unless you want to send grandma back to the factory. But that's the overwhelming majority of people who are on the program. Of those who are able-bodied and expected to work, the majority of them work. The majority of them work. And that's the program Republicans want to target? Give me a break. I mean, I go right through the list, and we could debate waste, fraud, and abuse all day. The money that DOJ has supposedly found in waste, even if you believe that number, is totally offset by the tax breaks for billionaires in this bill. I mean, with all the chaos in our economy right now, does anybody really believe that we have to help out billionaires? That they're the ones who are hurting? Not average working families, but billionaires. I mean, we have billionaires in this country who pay an effective tax rate that is lower than the effective tax rate for teachers and police officers and firefighters. What the hell is wrong with this place? I mean, the priorities here are all screwed up. So let's have a debate about our values and our choices. But please, 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 let's not pretend like this budget isn't going to hurt people. Let's at least have an intellectually honest conversation and admit what this is about. Just like the devastating DOJ cuts to NIH and CDC, they're going to hurt people. Just like Trump's tariffs are hurting people. And by the way, on tariffs, if I may, Republicans are once again rigging the rules to protect Donald Trump and hide from accountability. They know his tariffs are economic poison. They know voters hate them. But House Republicans are too cowardly to go on record. So they're trying to sneak around with a procedural gimmick in this rule to block a vote on the tariffs instead of facing the truth. So let's be clear. A vote for today's rule is a vote for Trump's disastrous trade war, period. There's no hiding from it. Now, I know that Trump just announced on social media, of all ways, that he is partially backing down and putting a temporary pause on some of the tariffs he announced last week. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether it is idiocy or incompetence, maybe both, but you're telling me that Trump tanked the market nearly 20% and put the entire American economy on the line so that countries would give him a phone call? I mean, is that what this is all about? Give me a damn break. Right-wing pundits are going to act like pausing the tariffs was some kind of stroke of genius, that recouping only 1/3 of our market losses is somehow a brilliant move. Now, I wasn't very good in arithmetic, but that doesn't sound like a brilliant move to me. That sounds like a stupid move. And first, let me remind my colleagues across the aisle that this is just a pause. Second, 10% tariffs across the board are still in place, plus the increased China tariffs. And third, all of this chaos is horrible for the economy. Small businesses cannot plan or operate under this level of uncertainty. What big business would want to invest in any new manufacturing if there's no telling what policy is in place tomorrow? And how can our trading partners believe that what we say when we're changing policy every 3 days? The swinging back and forth is making Americans worse off for no apparent reason. And maybe Republicans think that some people need to be heard in order to fix our country. I love it when Trump puts out all these billionaires to tell working families, oh, you got to just deal with the pain. Oh, it's no big deal. You should sacrifice. Billionaires lecturing hardworking middle-class Americans. But at least if they admitted what the impact of these tariffs really were on average working families, we could have an intellectually honest conversation about what this budget and Trump's tariffs do. But we can't, because that would force the other side to acknowledge the truth. And the truth is that this budget was written by the rich, for the rich, to help the rich get richer. And that is what this is, a massive transfer of wealth from those at the bottom to those at the top. It is Robin Hood in reverse, and the American people will pay the price for the Republicans' billionaire-first budget. With that, I reserve my time.
Gentleman's time is reserved. Gentlelady from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I warned everybody this was what we were going to hear. We were going to hear these outrageous claims that are simply not true. The fact is that the rhetoric coming from the other side has reached an appalling level. We've heard the scare tactics for weeks now, but it's taken a dark turn, Mr. Speaker, that is literally instilling fear into the hearts of blameless, everyday Americans. We heard in the Rules Committee this morning of how they brought people to tears in meetings by telling them lies about what was in our budget resolutions. That is shameful, Mr. Speaker, shameful. We can have disagreements about policy decisions. We can have disagreements about the effects of mismanagement of tax dollar funds, for example, or what amount of tax relief is appropriate. But the Democrats have now impugned Republican motivations and put blood on our hands. A Democrat in the Rules Committee this morning stated that, quote, Republicans would cut off your limbs and let you bleed to death.
If Medicaid were a patient and it came to the Republicans to get health care for a cold, Republicans sort of, what they would do, it's like, I'm here for a cold, I'm Medicaid, I'm here for a cold. How do I fix this? Republicans would cut off your limbs and let you bleed to death. I mean,
That's disappointing.
So harm Medicaid that
Sorry.
it would be awful.
It was an absolutely disgusting remark that has no place in this debate. Is this what Leader Jeffries wants to come to the floor to state? That we're cutting the limbs off of people to watch them bleed out? Does he want to stoke fears in this way and terrorize Americans? Let's deal with facts, and let's not scare the American people. I reserve.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, the gentlelady says we need to deal with facts. I agree, but we also need to deal with math. And I understand that President Trump told the gentlelady and other Republicans to close their eyes and vote for this budget. And that's a direct quote, by the way. Did he tell you to hide your calculator, too? I mean, I just went through my concerns about the cuts in Medicaid. This budget actually has instructions to the Energy and Commerce Committee to cut $880 billion at a minimum, to find $880 billion at a minimum in savings. There is no way to do that when you do the math without cutting Medicaid. I mean, that's just a fact. The math is undefeated here. I'm sorry that my friends don't want to appear like they're insensitive to the plight of those who are struggling in the lower income brackets and who need Medicaid. It's a lifeline for them, but it's just the truth. There's no way, I mean, again, do the arithmetic, do the math. There's no way you can get those cuts without going into Medicaid. And that's going to hurt people. And I tried in the Rules Committee to have an amendment saying that, we won't give tax cuts to people who earn over $1 billion. That was rejected on a party line vote. The bottom line, that was a net worth of $1 billion. That was rejected on a party line vote. So we want to give more benefits to people at the top, but the way we're going to do it is we're going to cut people's health care benefits who are in Medicaid. And by the way, Medicaid is also the program that helps provide long-term care for a lot of middle-income families in this country. So the notion that, we can make all these cuts and, don't worry, be happy. Come on. People can figure this out. The math is undefeated.